welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and I am a certified franchise consultant. And Franchise Focus is all about shining a spotlight on those in the franchise world. And with me today is Bryan Scheff, who is a franchise owner of not one, but two different concepts, both Hand and Stone and the Goddard School. And welcome, Bryan.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
We're very happy to have you in studio today, and I know you had a bit of a difficulty with your wardrobe right out of the gate because you're going, which shirt do I wear, right?
Right, do I wear the one that's 20 years old or do I wear the one that's about 20 minutes old?
So there you go. So you went with the Hand and Stone shirt, so there you go, Hand and Stone, but we're going to absolutely talk about both concepts today.
Sounds good.
All right, terrific. Well, thanks for coming, Bryan. So you're a franchise owner. We know that, two different types of concepts, and we're going to dig into that, and we're going to let the audience know what these concepts are in case they don't know and they're not familiar. But we're going to peel back the onion a bit, and we're going to talk about what your life was like prior to being in this wonderful, crazy world of franchising. And I know that Lisa Manioki, she put us together. So Thank you. Shout out to Lisa. And she has a show here on RVN. In fact, multiple shows.
She's an amazing life coach.
She's an amazing life coach. So I'm going to let you take it from there as to how Lisa, by the way, had a big impact. But how did you get into this and what were you doing before franchising?
So I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. The big question is in what industry, what business would it be, and how to do it, because I didn't have a role model for that. My mother was a public school teacher. My father worked for a large company, but there wasn't any real entrepreneurial endeavors in my family. So figuring all that out was not always easy, but it always came back to what kind of business. And at the time I was married and my wife was a teacher, and I had seen an ad for the Goddard School franchise. My daughter was just a little bit over 1 at that point, so I was in that realm. So I knew that the Goddard School was the gold standard, and a lot of our friends had gone to Goddard schools. And it just seemed like the perfect combination of our backgrounds. I was working in retail at the time, so I was running businesses for other people, but it wasn't a situation where I was doing something for myself. So we combined my business knowledge with her education knowledge and decided that that was a good way to go. So working in retail, you're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, from Black Friday all the way until New Year's.
That's correct.
Essentially, you're working when everybody else is off.
Right.
And having a little one and then a second little one on the way, I was just missing things. I was missing birthday parties. I was missing stuff at school and things that I wanted to be a part of. And it always came down to my schedule. So that was really my goal, was to not have to work for other people and kind of take control of my schedule and take control of my own life.
Right, and what time period was this, Bryan?
So this was pretty much early 2000s. Okay. I signed my first franchise agreement in August of 2001, which, you know, if you do the math, was about a month before September 11th.
Right.
And that kind of changed everything because nobody knew what was happening. And we were like, did we do the right thing? We signed this agreement. We're going to open this business. Nobody knows what's happening in the world right now. But like everything else, you know, life moves on and people move on, and it all worked out fine.
Excellent. And then, of course, you have a recession that comes down the pike, 2008-ish,
Yep.
right? So you've got to deal with that and lots of various things in that 20-year span that have been giant craters and boulders thrown at you as a business owner, right?
Yes. So, you know, I like to think that childcare is a little bit recession-proof,
right,
because when a mom, let's say, decides to go back to work because they want to have two incomes, somebody has to watch the kids.
Sure. Sure.
So, and we are a finite business. So if you own some businesses where you want to make more money, you just have to sell more of what you sell. In a childcare facility, you have a maximum capacity. So once you're full, you have to turn people away.
Right.
So we just have to hit that magic number, and then once we're there, the goal is to just stay there, and we've been fortunate to be able to do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, you know, one of the messages that I always tell my candidates and this audience is that there are extreme highs and extreme lows in business ownership. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just going to be happening. And, you know, you and I were just talking that, you know, it seems that all the signs are pointing that we're heading toward a recession, if we haven't already been in it. And to your point, that childcare is more of a recession proof, but it wasn't pandemic proof. And you had to sit there dealing with the closures and everything that took part in all of that. Very difficult, right? One of your more difficult years, right?
Definitely.
So, you know, and then you've got the staffing issues, and, you know, and that's just on the Goddard school part. Now you have your hand and stone part, which is probably like two different animals of how you're looking at doing things and how it's being treated and what have you. But how have you been able to maintain through all of this, which it's been a very tough, rocky time for, you know, for so many, for so long?
It has definitely been a rocky time, and I think anybody would be lying to say that it's not. But I think it's also how you approach things. We always try to keep a positive attitude when we're making decisions. My overall business philosophy is to always operate as if you are a full, successful, thriving business, even when you're not, because that's how you get there. If you're making decisions out of fear, if you're making decisions because you have less business and it's going to choke you later when your business hopefully comes back, then you're not going to be prepared for it. We operated every single day as if our school was full, even when we were 30% occupied right after we reopened from the pandemic. And we made every decision based on, well, what would we do if we were 100% enrolled? What would we do if there was no pandemic? And within a year, we were 100% enrolled again because we saw the vision and we worked towards that. But you can never get there if you're afraid, and you can never get there if you're making decisions that are, you can be cautious, but if you're overly cautious, then you're going to make decisions that will ultimately put you out of business.
Right, it can sink you.
Yeah.
Right, that fear and being paralyzed, not going above and beyond to do things to attract people.
Right.
We were just chatting. I love your story that you were just telling me about your Hand and Stone location with Starbucks. Do you want to share that?
Sure. So we opened up right next to a brand new Starbucks, and I guess because of the labor issue and how much of a hard time everybody's having hiring people, even new businesses are not exempt from that. So this particular Starbucks location opened with hours of Monday through Saturday, 8 to 3. And I just watched people all day long walking up to those doors and being disappointed that they couldn't get their Starbucks, especially on Sundays. So, and it was kind of funny because they'd get about 10 feet away from the door and they would realize that the business was closed, there were no lights on, there were no people inside, but they still would walk up to the door and pull that handle because they just had to be sure. But then the disappointment sets in that, you know, I'm not getting a cup of coffee. So we saw an opportunity there. We went out, we bought 2 coffee makers, we set it up in our lobby, one with regular, one with decaf. And at 2:45 every day, 15 minutes before Starbucks was to close, we would brew our coffee. And at 3:01, when Starbucks was closed, we put a sign out front that said, "Come on in, free coffee at Hand and Stone." And people came in, and there was no obligation. They didn't have to pay anything. I just wanted the opportunity for them to see the inside of our business and to hand them a brochure. And it translated into dollars. It did cause some people to come in and make an appointment or get into a conversation. I remember one particular evening where a gentleman came in. He was really dirty. He was a construction worker, and he was dirty. And he's like, "Is it really free coffee?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, I need a massage. I work so hard, I'm on construction, I need a massage. And we didn't have an appointment available, so the girl that we had at the front desk offered a facial. And he's like, "I never had a facial before." And so I was just standing there listening, and I said, "Oh, I just had my first one too. You're gonna love it." And there's a massage component to it also, which some people don't realize. And he booked it, he showed up, he loved it, he joined and became a member, and that was all because we put out free coffee when Starbucks was closed.
Right, and pointing out to the audience that we're here in New Jersey, and we're a cynical lot. So when you see that something's for free, you're like, really? But this is, audience, this is the example of going outside and above and beyond and doing whatever it takes and seeing opportunity. You saw an opportunity because another business was having some issues, and you said, I'm going to incorporate this and help my own business. And it did help your business. And if nothing else, it creates goodwill, and who can't use that, right?
Goodwill is important. Giving back to the community is important. It's okay to do things and not expect it to bring you business. At the Goddard School, we do an annual Halloween event. We do it off-site. I don't think I've ever gotten a single enrollment out of doing that event. But we entertain and provide a Halloween event for well over 400 children every year, and we've been doing it for the last 15 years. And I'm excited that we're doing it again this year because we just had a 2-year break from doing it. And it's the greatest event, but it's off-site. No one gets to really see the school. We're not really promoting it. It really is a give back for the community, but it's just so rewarding sometimes to take what you have as far as your reputation in the area and how people know you and use it to do some good.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't always have to be for dollars and cents, but if coffee brought me some members that are new hand and stone, then that's not so bad either.
Then so be it. And to that construction worker, he's got a nice, smooth face, right? Yeah. And he's getting some relaxation out of it, and something that he would never probably have ever considered before, right?
Right. And honestly, neither did I before owning a hand and stone. I have had massages for years, but I had never had a facial. And it's not just for ladies.
That's right. It's for the men too. My husband loves a good massage, but he's never had a facial. He's got the beard, so I don't know how it works with that. But
we'll bring him in. We'll get him indoctrinated.
Excellent. And he would love that. I know it. So we talked about your business philosophy, which is, fantastic, and it shows to the level, because in franchising, sometimes there can be a bad rap about franchising.
Yes.
You can hear some bad things and some bad, negative things, and I always say, look to the owners. Are they following the system? Are they doing what it is that they're supposed to be doing first and foremost? Because often you find, and I'm sure in your 20 years, you've seen owners come and go.
Yes.
Right? Come and go. Yes. And they were supposed to be the next rock star. They were supposed to be the next thing. And then, boom,
I'm going to own 20 locations. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, boom, they're gone. Yeah. Right? So, and it all does come back to this philosophy of really doing everything that it takes, treating everyone well, treating your staff well, right?
Absolutely.
Treating your customers exemplary, doing everything that you're supposed to do, and then following the process of what this franchise system is supposed to be all about, whatever it is.
I could not be successful without my faculty at my school, my providers at Hand and Stone. I can't run 10 classrooms by myself. I can't run 8 treatment rooms by myself. You're nothing without your staff. And your staff has to be committed to excellence if you want to run an excellent business. And one of the ways that you ensure that your staff is committed to excellence is if you're committed to excellence. Right. You can't expect other people to do what you're not willing to do yourself. I have so many friends who think, like, oh, you're a business owner, you get to take off whenever you want, you get to do this, you get to do that. Well, they ought to see me when I'm shoveling snow and when I'm outside fixing a post on my fence because somebody backed their car into it, or cleaning up a parking lot because people throw their garbage in it. It's not always glamorous, but I don't mind doing all of those things because
it's yours.
It's mine. And,
it's yours.
And the freedom that I have as a result of being a business owner was the thing that was most important to me.
That's right.
I jokingly say that I spent my entire adult life trying to figure out how to make a living without putting on a shirt and tie. And I'm happy to not have to do that. And so if that means taking out the garbage or taking care of some stuffed up toilets, it's all part of it. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you didn't have to wear a suit and tie for today so that you're nice and comfortable.
Yeah.
While you're going to be comfortable while we quickly take a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back on the other side. Stay tuned.
Great.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
And welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Lankowski, and sitting next to me is Bryan Scheff, who is the owner of Goddard Schools and Hand & Stone in New Jersey. We've got 2 Goddard locations in Old Bridge and Princeton.
Yep.
And then where is your Hand & Stone location?
That one's in Montgomery.
In Montgomery. Yeah. So all more in the northern Jersey-ish.
Princeton, Montgomery is pretty
Montgomery,
close.
right, central-ish.
Old Bridge takes me a little bit of a drive to get there.
All right.
But I have a partner in that business. So,
okay.
She's pretty much the on-site operator of the business, so I'm not needed there on a daily basis.
Great. And you know, right before the break, we were having such an incredible conversation about what it really takes to be a successful business owner. And often in franchising, the goal is not to just own one business. That's really not what the goal is. The goal is to own multiple businesses and create like a little mini empire. Not everyone does it. Not everyone's able to do it, but that is really what the goal is, that you get good at owning one, then you own a second, then you own a third. You've diversified because you own different. And then you have the sale of a business. Mm-hmm. And you just recently sold a business. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I love the Goddard School. The Goddard School changed my life, and you're right. Once you get successful in one, you want more. And at the time, the Goddard School was closed to new franchises in New Jersey. They had opened what they felt were enough locations, and they wanted things to kind of settle in a little bit before they granted new franchises. So if I was going to have a second business, I had to look elsewhere. And I bought another franchise business and started it from nothing, and ran that business for 10 years and decided that it was not something that I wanted to continue. Hand & Stone was on the horizon. I was very excited about that. I felt that the other business had run its course. The franchise support was a little bit different than what I was used to. Of course, after 10 years, I didn't need a lot of franchise support. Right. But like the song says, you have to know when to hold them, and you need to know when to fold them. But selling a business can be a daunting
Yes.
task. Sometimes it's just as hard to sell a business as it is to open a business.
Correct.
I didn't want to close it. I didn't want to auction off the contents. So I wound up reaching out to a fellow franchisee, and I offered him what I thought was a really good deal, and he agreed. We came to terms, and it happened pretty quickly. And he's doing great. He's actually doing better than I was doing there. So, which, we were talking before the break about different franchises and different franchisees. And, sometimes when people are that flash in the pan, or they're going to do all these great things, and then they just, for whatever reason, they don't. One of the common denominators is I find that sometimes people buy a franchise, and then the very next day they want to change the whole thing.
Right.
They don't want to do what the franchisor is telling them is the winning combination.
Right. They know better.
I bought a Goddard school because I couldn't open up Bryan's child care center,
Right.
because nobody would have come to that, and I had no idea what I was doing. It's almost 20 years later. I'm still paying franchise fees every month, even though I don't really need a lot of help at this point. But I have the name, and I'm successful because of everything that happened before and all the help that I got when I didn't know what I was doing. So I don't mind paying the franchise fee. And every once in a while, something will come out where you're going to call somebody and say, hey, why are we doing this? Or did you consider this or that aspect of what this new way of doing things is going to be? But if you buy a franchise, don't question everything that they tell you to do. The whole idea of buying a franchise is that they've made all of the mistakes. They've made all of the changes and tweaks to how they market, how they open a new location, and follow the plan. And if you don't want to follow the plan, you're probably better off not buying a franchise.
That's right. Then do not own a
Right.
franchise.
Then-
That is
then
100%.
go your own way and have less of a chance of success.
That's right. And I tell people that. I go, if you're going to fight every tooth and nail of everything that they tell you to do, or then you're going to grouse and grumble later on after you become successful because you don't want to pay a royalty fee every month or a brand fund or whatever it is.
Right.
This is not for you, because this is something that has been given to you that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right.
So don't sit there and look back and go, oh, I'm doing great now. I don't need them. I don't need them anymore.
Right.
Because you wouldn't have gotten to this point otherwise.
100%. And the other thing is, they don't do it for you.
Right.
I find a lot of people buy a franchise and they just think that the franchisor now, they're going to make me successful.
No.
And
No, it's on you.
yeah, there's something I call the 10 two-letter words. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Okay.
And you're responsible for marketing your business. You're the face of the business. You're hiring the people for your business. It's your business. No one else can do it for you. So if you think that franchising is a get-rich-quick kind of thing,
Think
it's
again.
not. It takes a lot of hard work.
That's right, it is. And that is the message that I continuously bring on this show, that people can be wildly successful, but they didn't do it just like that. It took time and grit and energy and some tears, and it takes a lot. But if you follow through and you do everything that you're supposed to, then you're going to have a really great business. And you
Yes.
have multiple great businesses, and you sold one, and it all went well, and the new owner's doing even better,
Right.
which is a
Which is a
great
win.
success story. It's
Right.
a win all the way around.
Right. And when I opened that business, my kids were too young when I opened the first Goddard school. Now they were older, and I wanted them to see the entrepreneurial process. I wanted them to see a business being opened. And sadly, their mom had passed away, and I wanted them to feel like there was something that they were involved in, something that was a distraction. So this other opportunity came along, and it was a franchise called Monster Mini Golf. And I said to them, do you want to do this business? Because I felt like I should ask them, since it was going to take a lot of my time now getting involved in something new. And they were so excited about it, they actually wound up, because they were with me all the time, because I was a single parent, they wound up sleeping on a couch in the office for the first year that we were open because I was there all the time and they were with me, and they never complained. And you know, we put in a lot of time and a lot of sweat equity and a lot of our family time into it. But they're my biggest supporters, and now we get to reap the benefits later on of having done all of that, because now we live a nice, comfortable life, and they're young women now. They're 24 and 21, so the days of sleeping on a couch in the office of a business are long over.
And what an incredible education that they took away, right?
Yes.
Like they learned so much. They also got to learn through you, watch you go through all of this, which you can't put a price on that. Do they have any 24 and 21? Do they have any any inkling toward wanting to be in the business with you in any of the businesses?
So I hear that from time to time. My older daughter moved to Florida to work at Disney because we are a huge Disney family, and that's for her living the dream.
Right.
So she's excited about that. And my younger daughter is going to be in her senior year of college, and she's majoring in criminal justice. I don't know what she's going to do yet. She may go on to law school. But as far as I'm concerned, they know they don't have to have a boss.
Right.
If they choose to have a boss, great, but they don't have to have a boss. They can chart their own destiny, and that's what franchising did for me. It allowed me to chart my own destiny, and that really has been the biggest reward.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of destiny, we are low on time, unfortunately, but we have to give a big shout out. We just gave a shout out to your daughters and to your mom.
My mom, yeah.
Your mom, as a single dad, raising your kids, she was a big help.
I had a lot of help from my mom and my dad with my kids, but I would probably not be sitting here if it weren't for my mom being willing to take a chance and help, because she had some money saved up, and I was a little bit short when it came to doing that first Goddard school.
Right.
And she said, well, you know, how much are you short? And I told her, and she said, well, if you're really sure you want to do this, I'm willing to help you. So it wouldn't have happened without that. And I remember saying to her, at the time, I don't remember what the exact number was, but in the franchise disclosure documents, they let you know what the average earnings is for the entire chain. So, and it was more than what I was making working in retail management. So I said to my mom, I said, well, this is what the average school makes, and I'm pretty sure I can be above average. But even if I'm just average, it'll be okay.
It's still more, right?
Yeah, it's still more. So we laughed, and then we were off and running, and it was great. People can be successful, and I have found in my life that there's always a story behind the success. Sometimes it's who you knew. Sometimes it was somebody in your family who supported you. Sometimes it's a mentor who was there for you. The best advice that I could give somebody who's getting into a business for the first time is find those people.
Right.
Don't think that you can just do it on your own. I had no map, I had no guide for how to open a business. I chose a franchise because I wanted a successful formula. I applied all of the things that I had learned over the previous 20 years working for other people to that. And then I leveraged the relationships that I had with people who were successful, and I just said, what do you think?
Well, listen, we can't end on a better note than everything that you have heard here today, right? So Bryan, I can't thank you enough. We're going to put your contact information up. So you need to enroll your kids in school. Fall is around the corner. I don't even know if you're at capacity and you can even take any open enrollments, but you've got your information about that, and then also getting facials and massages and other spa treatments at a Hand and Stone. We've got you covered there as well. And we thank you so much for joining us on Franchise Focus. Franchise Focus airs every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And as for me, I'm Lisa Lenkowski. I am a franchise consultant. You can learn more about me at milestonefranchising.com.